Have you been told that you were a failure? Did somebody tell you growing up that you would never amount to anything, that you were going to fail? Are you scared of failing? Are you afraid to fail? Fear of failure is such a common thing. You'd be amazed at how many people are just terrified that they're going to fail. Why would failure be such a big deal? Do you know the word failure is really not an emotional or psychological term? Failure is a mechanical term. We borrow it from mechanics. When you got guys in a lab trying to come up with a new device, trying to create a new engine, some sort of new appliance, and they're testing it, what happens? They have failures. They experience failures in their experimentation. What do when their tests fail? Do they take it personally? Do they feel like they were destined to fail? Do they call themselves losers because of it? No, they recognize it for what it is. That did not work. Therefore, let's find out why it didn't work. Let's reformat. Let's adjust things. Let's add something. Let's take something away. And then let's try it again until we have success. And when you're doing something like creating a complicated piece of machinery, there's so many tests at every level. There's so many times that they're going to fail, that failure is just built in. They understand that in order to create the perfect engine, the perfect device, they know that failure is just part of the equation. Now think about that. I don't care if it's a sports team, technology, an engine like we just described, whatever it is, every type of methodology, every type of process in business or shipping or anything, everything takes trial and error. And if there's going to be trial and error, if there's going to be testing of anything, you will experience failure. Therefore, anybody who does anything great, builds anything great, does anything outstanding, achieves anything of significance, understands that failure is not just a part of the equation. It's necessary. You have to have it because failure is going to teach you so much. But what would happen if in all these fields and things that I just described, that every time any one of these people experienced failure, they took it personally? Every time they experienced failure, right, they took it personal. Well, they'd never get anything done. They'd be too scared to death of failing that they'd never create anything of significance. We have the world we live in with all the wonderful technologies and industries and luxuries that we have. We have all of it because people were willing to fail. They were willing to experience failure and defeat in order to create a desired outcome. So why would anybody be afraid to fail? Why would you be afraid to fail? The only difference is that you take it personally. Somehow along the way, probably early on in your journey in life, you learned to take failure personal. And again, it may be because someone said you were going to be a failure, or you were afraid because one time you did fail, one time you did mess up, everybody else in the classroom laughed at you, everybody else on the field laughed at you, your own family mocked you, your mom or dad yelled at you when you failed. And so now you're afraid to fail. But again, failure is built in for you to become everything that you have the potential to become in life. Failure is a part of the equation. You have to accept that. You have to accept that like any researcher, like any scientist, like any technology developer, like any inventor, like any coach, like any president, anything. You have to accept the fact that failure is part of the equation and not take this personal. That is the key. You can't take it personal. Failure is only detrimental when failure is made personal. I want you to understand that failure is only detrimental when failure is made personal. Otherwise, failure is helpful. It can help you because it teaches you. It shows you what needs to be fixed. It reveals where the problem solving needs to go into effect. But we don't look at our lives that way. We don't look at our lives like a inventor would look over their invention. Trial and error, testing things, trying to create this new device. We don't look at our lives that way. But what would change if we did? What if you did look at your life that way? What if you looked at your life like Edison or Tesla or somebody like that? What if you looked at your life that way and realized that with every time that you fail, you're learning something, you're adjusting something until you get it right, until you get it just dialed in, and you start to experience success in each and every area that you're working on. Well, that's the real possibility for you. You don't have to be trapped by failure. You don't have to be scared to fail. You don't have to be neutralized and hold yourself back, worried so much about the judgment or criticism of others. You can get free of this stuff. Imagine what your life would be like if you were not afraid of what someone else thought. Imagine what your life would be like if you were no longer fearful of the criticism or the judgment of other people. Imagine what life would be like. What would you attempt to do? What would you attempt to do? You know what I mean? What would you put yourself out there and do if you were not worried about the judgment of others? Because if you're not concerned about failure and you're willing to do the work, then it's only a matter of time. Hear me. It's only a matter of time before you achieve success in whatever it is you're working towards. It's not so much a fear of failure. It's a fear of criticism, one. And then number two, you got this idea that somehow you're a loser. You don't have the confidence. You may not even say loser, but you have a very poor self-image. And you know that if you put yourself out there and you fail, then it's going to confirm to everybody else of what you already know about yourself, that you're a failure, that you're a loser, that you're less than everybody else. So therefore, if you don't try, then you don't fail. And if you don't fail, then nobody else will call you a loser. Nobody else will believe the same thing that you know. That's your little secret. Your little secret is that you know you're less than. Your little secret is your poor self-image. And so if you stay in your little safety zone, if you stay in your comfort zone, if you don't break out and try something new, then nobody's going to see who you truly are. But guess what? That's not who you truly are. You're as capable as anybody else to do whatever it is you want to do in life. We got to get past your fear of judgment, your fear of criticism, your fear that your poor self-image, your loser status is somehow going to be confirmed if you try and fail. Once you get free of that, there'll be nothing stopping you. Nothing will hold you back from going after what it is you want. This is CJ, the Mental Motivator. And remember, in whatever you do, don't suck. Mental up.